please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance? Ready to begin.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Please be seated. Roll call. Mr. Krokel here. Ms. Hanson here. Mr. Allred.
He's here.
He's here. Mr. Valentine.
Here. Mr. Allred's here, yes.
Mr. Parker's here. Show that all members are here. Is there any public comment on the agenda? Is there any board comment on the agenda? I'll take a motion in a second.
So motion. Okay.
Moved by Mr. Allred, seconded by Mr. Valentine. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion passes 5-0. Item 2, community announcements and public comments on items not on the agenda. Are there any public comments?
Good afternoon, directors. Make this quick. Just want to remind everybody that we still have tickets for the Mojave Gun Raffle, which ends on September 16th. And we are still doing our fundraiser for the Pampered Chef for the Chips for Kids, the mass Christmas tree giveaway. We're about 500 right now on that. 650 is where we start to get our discounts. So we're a little bit shy of that, but we're still going through the month of September. So hopefully we will get our 30% mark, which is at 650 and over. So that's all I have. And we are starting to get donations roll in for the Christmas event already. And volunteers are starting to reach out to us. So it's going to be another big year. That's it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Moving on to item 3, consent agenda. Is there any public comment on the consent agenda? Is there any board comment on the consent agenda?
Motion to approve.
Motion to approve by Mr. Valentine. I'll take a second.
Second.
Second by Mr. Krokel. Are there any board members opposed? Seeing none, motion passes 5-0. Moving on to item 4, action items. Impulse Space Test Site 1, 4th Amendment lease expansion.
So this is another lease expansion for Impulse, more revenue for the airport. Other than the fact that they are somewhat creative in dealing with the county, staff recommends approval.
Is there any public comment on this item? Is there any board comment on this item? Take a motion in a second.
Motion.
Motion by Mr. Allred.
I'll second.
Second by Mr. Krokel. Are there any directors opposed? Seeing none, motion passes 5-0. Item B, J. Steinmantez, Jail Hangar 968, consent to sublet.
This is a fairly standard sublet agreement with two people that have a good relationship with the airport. We've done this before. Staff recommends approval.
Any public comment on item B? Any board comment?
He owns this hangar?
Yeah.
Good. Take a motion in a second on item B.
Motion.
Motion by Ms. Hanson. Second by Mr. Allred. Are there any directors opposed? Seeing none, motion passes 5-0. Moving on to item 5, Director of Administration.
Good afternoon. These are the financials for month ending June 30th. Just want to let you know, since this is year end, so these are our kind of preliminary numbers, because as I go through and kind of do some analysis, we'll be shifting some numbers around. We are also getting some invoices in now that may be for June 30th, but we have to put them in the proper period, anticipating the auditors to come in September. So just kind of wanted to let you know that we are some things will be added, even though we're past this board meeting. Bank balance increased $9,000. Operating revenue, we're at 103%. Operating expenses at 92%. Fuel sales were 146,000 gallons. On the AR, California Air Sales and Dean Soest, working with legal on both of those. AmeriPride and Department of General Services, both of them still in working communication and working on the payment. So still confident that we'll get the payment, just kind of working through some of their accounts payable side of it. Fitness Center is at 850 members.
All right, thank you. Any board comment on that? Moving on to item B, Director of Operations, Ariel. You're up.
Good afternoon, members of the board. Left my paper over there. All right, with operations, we did have a change of minus 293 ops compared to June 2026 and June 2025 through both Towered and CTAP operations. So that is our 24-hour counts. I did start going through the analysis after our RSAT, and we do look to be down about 1,700 operations from last year comparatively. So we are looking year over year over the fiscal year now that our runway safety lines up with our fiscal year. We're starting to comparing those operations against our fiscal years. However, we do have a very aggressive test cadence happening over the next few months, which is a double-edged sword when it comes to the operations counts. The first one is it's great that our operators who come here to test are able to do what they are here to do. However, that does compromise runway usage, which tends to start bogging down our operations numbers. So a lot of the numbers are starting to decrease, but the types of operations are becoming increasingly important. And not that they haven't been important before, but we are starting to see some really awesome testing happening out here, which we are very excited to see.
And the rocket test sites
on the airfield itself. Some of these unmanned systems, 12, 15,000 pound aircrafts. These are large, high pressure systems that are going out. A lot of attention starting to come out on them as well. And it's really nice to be able to be part of that cycle because we are noticing Mojave getting the attention. I have noticed recently Northrop put out a report on one of their aircraft, and I've had 4 different operators reach out to me and say, hey, I saw Northrop's report on their newest aircraft. We have an aircraft that's in the same realm. Are we able to test at Mojave? And so it's really nice to start to see those cyclical rotations coming in where someone will test and then it'll get the attention and then we'll get new interest and new operators and then we'll be able to start bringing in new testing as well. So we are very excited to see that, but pretty aggressive cadence over the next few weeks. And then also Miss Ashley for the board will be going on leave here either today or in 3 weeks. We're not sure. It's up to Miss Ashley. So for any of our operators that are listening online and as well as you board members as well and in the audience, I will be taking over the majority of her duties. And that if there's anything that will be delegated, please come through me and I will provide those delegations and we will be putting out information as well. We are very excited for her. She does play a very integral part of the airport. Subject to questions?
Thank you much.
Of course, thank you.
If I may, board members, addressing Ashley, this is someone who came from a position of really not being an aviation expert, but with the mentorship of Ariel and her staff and that growth and direction and day-to-day building, she is an absolute winner. But that's a real function of the fact that we've got a staff that executes a lot of servant leadership here and has built upon her skill sets to deliver us a unique capability.
Very good. Thank you. Item C, Chester.
Lady and gentlemen of the board, had a good meeting with, now, this thing on hangar inventory is an exciting topic that I know we've been discussing. Dr. Santana's team, they are out here not specifically saying this is what we can do for you as far as building hangars. We are a special district where there are ways that we have to do these projects up for bid, et cetera, and things like that. But to talk generic concept of what could be done. So that was a very productive meeting as far as what we might be able to do in the future. We had scheduled Key Bank's representative to talk tax-free bonds to be here today. Unfortunately, he is a guardsman in the state of Washington, and he was mobilized due to the fires in Spokane. And frankly, just got returned to his HOR. And unfortunately, it was outside of the time frame of getting him back on the agenda with public notice. So we'll bring him back to a future meeting so we can get your questions answered there. Good site visit, LA Air Force Base, continuing Space Force Base, continuing that strong relationship with them. This particular trip, we're reaching out to their company grade officers council to do professional development tours here, where they can take a look at a different side of the space mission versus everything they see internal to Space Force. The space mission is one that is fully integrated in and outside of DOW. So we need to keep these young folks doing that well exposed to that and understand there are real assets in their own backyard. Caltrans meeting, I was told not to waste my time. I shouldn't have. It was frankly pretty benign, not really value added for the airport. ESAT, that's the Griffith Institute team focused on aviation in this Eastern Sierra area. Excellent meeting with our consultant, Sherry, who did a briefing on vertical launch that brought forward everything from Vince Fong's office, AFRL, all the participants on the call were emphasizing we absolutely have to do this. And so we have a lot of players that run that call that now being formally introduced and hearing the process are strong advocates for Mojave embracing that mission. The Aerospace Committee at AV Edge have completed their deep dive in aerospace, and the report is going public right after I write my chairman's comments in it, which I just did today and sent in. So we can, I'm certain, get a copy for the board members of that annual deep dive in aerospace for this valley. The committee chair meeting was also yesterday with AV Edge, once again showing the value of the organization across the functional environment, everything from China Lake down to Plant 42 and all of us in between included in that ecosystem. Meeting also yesterday with the Permian Proving Grounds. They're a fairly desolate facility in West Texas in the Permian Basin. And they would like to see what they can do in partnership with Mojave towards the future. I'm going to make plans to make an initial one-day visit out there, probably in early November. And then they're going to do the same here shortly after that visit to basically see what levels of collaboration we may be able to do together. One of the things they would like to do, and it's something we are working on with our vertical launch access, is they'd like to get in the business of trans-atmospheric delivery of product, goods, and services. That'll require unique reentry sites. Mojave would be a very capable reentry site for, the entire Los Angeles basin. So in space right now, this is a thing, this idea that I can take an essential part for a machine that has to come from Belgium, and I can either take the weeks it takes to coordinate shipping of that part to get out here through normal channels, or I can maybe have it here in an hour and a half with space launch and space access. So interesting capability, not yet fully proven, but it's something the industry is jumping onto aggressively, and several companies are already exploring that heavily.
Do you think that'll be autonomous?
Most of these will be. That's at least the thought there. They're largely autonomous. They're autonomous with a level of ground interface. So as I understand it, and I'm going to be the first to say I'm not an expert on these, but I've stayed at a Holiday Inn and I've sat through their briefings. I would offer the analogy I use is it's a little bit like Global Hawk, not Predator or Reaper. Predator or Reaper, somebody's actively flying the aircraft remotely. Global Hawk, the airplane's flying itself, but I have an operator that could put in a command signal to say, climb, descend, turn right, do this, do that. But other than that, the plane will be autonomous. So most of these systems are autonomous systems that can be adjusted with input if absolutely necessary.
And that'll interface with our Class D and our airspace?
Well, not that I don't throw crap on Ariel's plate every day for her to figure out, but a big part of what she's doing as the champion for this 450, 420 launch and reentry process is figuring out what is the right and smart way to do that. So we believe that we can do launch and recovery far enough away from the runway to not impact airport operations. And by the fact that we have a Class D airspace there, coordinate effectively through the Class D so that we have zero tangible risk to any aviation operations.
I'd like more information on this. I don't understand how they're gonna use the runway for recovery.
Well, the reentry and recovery in a perfect world, I would think well to the east of the runway complex so that we're not impacting runway operations. We can land that article out in the desert, possibly near our launch site that is projected. And in that way, we don't impact runway operations and we have a successful recovery. These things do have to be smartly done, and that's one of the reasons why it takes a couple years to get them through the FAA.
And the precision they have now is amazing.
So it's stunning, and frankly, the FAA is very candid in their discussions. They admit out front that they're using fairly old safety data, data that's based in a world where if I let off a rocket, there's a reasonable chance that it blow up and fall to the ground somewhere.
Mm-hmm.
And that's just not happening very much anymore. Save Blue Origin in Florida.
Just curious, what's that do to our, well, it goes in F-35. What's that do to our liability insurance rates?
I have not looked at it candidly.
Oh.
It's a good question. I can get you data on that.
Yeah. It's just, liability seems to be a big thing, you know, you've got to protect everybody. And
Well,
And some of that might not fall on us, it'll fall on the operator.
true,
Right.
yeah.
so we are in partnership with operators out
Yep.
there that would like very much to be, quote, our operator
Mm-hmm.
for the vertical launch thing. They probably have, and I'd welcome Ariel's input here, they probably have a much more difficult road to hoe in getting their 450 clearances for their launch processes and recoveries than we have as an airport, augmenting our horizontal launch license to now allow for vertical.
Interesting.
Well, lots going on.
Yes.
And I apologize for the quality of my voice.
That it for you?
That's it. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. We don't have any board committees. Directors' comments of items not on the agenda. Item 6. Any directors have comments?
I have, oops,
Go ahead. Mine's real short. I just was about the bond, but you said he will be possibly next meeting.
I believe, I'll have to check with Nicole, but I believe he is scheduled for the next meeting.
All right.
And he has a slide deck he's already shipped and
He'll be here in person or?
in person.
Okay.
What he wants to do is come out here and be able to actively field your questions. This is not a sales pitch. He knows that. This is a tax-free municipal bond information seminar.
Okay. Thank you.
I just have a couple of comments. We had a very successful Plane Crazy Saturday. Dan Craig was the speaker, talking about his lifelong interest and passion with model airplanes and how it has benefited his aerospace career.
And interestingly enough, Bert could design something, Dan would make a model and then fly it, and they could see the model flying before they built the big project. And he was so good to explain to people about weight and balance and center of gravity and how the weight and balance affects the center of gravity. And he had two flying wings. It looked exactly alike. One flew forward, one flew backwards because of where he had the center of gravity. The one that flew backwards, the center of gravity was not even on the wing. It was behind the wing. And so it was very educational. There was a gal here from Cal City Schools, and she was so intrigued. And she wanted to know if she could bring students to this room to have a little off-campus training session. I told her to contact Nicole and maybe something could be set up, but I also connected her with some of the young engineers at Scale Composites, because these kids at Cal City High School, Mojave High, they're the next generation of engineers. And I just love cultivating that. It's exciting to me.
So I must admit, if you don't mind,
Yes.
We're in violent agreement on that, to the staff's somewhat dismay. So
I'm sorry.
no, they've gotten to know me. And when I get contacted by a current superintendent of schools saying we want to bring out a 7th grade STEM class,
Yes,
my instructions to Nicole is make it work.
sure.
You know, I mean, move stuff around, because I do believe that's critically important. Critically important for this airport, not just today, but for tomorrow.
Exactly. And Dan introduced me to some of the new young engineers at Scale that were at the presentation. And it's just exciting to be with them. And you could feel the energy in the room. And that was neat. My second thing is the video that is on our website and elsewhere, apparently, about the history of the airport. Doesn't mention our founding general manager, Dan Savovich. And he had the foresight and I don't know, he had friends out at Edwards that flew 104s and whatnot. And he was a farmer over in Arvin, but he loved to fly. And he would come to Mojave and think, you know, this place would make a great test site for civilian aircraft. And he had a dream. And then was told, you know, if you formed an airport district, you'd have to get a vote of the people and draw boundary lines and all of that. You could probably make that work. And he did. And I noticed that the Jerry Sabovich's book that used to be in the hallway, you could just push the buttons and turn the pages, is not working now. And I wanted to show it to some people that were here Saturday.
It's broken. Jason's ordered a new one.
Good.
No, but
Yay.
it's down right now. It's not off. It's just,
It is
it actually
so
broke.
neat. It is so neat because it starts in 1972 with all the letters and all the voting and the
Be nice
first
to that
board
Zoom.
members.
So we could,
Yeah, that is true. I'll
Yeah.
mention that.
yeah, because
Yeah.
it's nice, but some of the stuff is just too small.
But our history is just amazing. And I don't want to rewrite it, and I don't want to forget Dan. So if there's some way to edit in something at the beginning about Dan's vision for this place. I mean, he was the manager at Cal City before he came here. And he was here from 72 to 2002. I think that's 30 years. And so it was actually longer than that. So he did a lot.
Yeah, I'd like to see that too. It just,
Even the air races, Clay Lacey was his friend. And Clay Lacey and Daryl Greenemeyer said, hey, can we do air races at Mojave? And Dan says, yeah. And that's when I first met Dan, was when they first started the air races here. And I thought, wow, he's really neat. But he was a farmer, but he loved airplanes and he loved to fly. And he had a lot of cool friends. And it's just that networking. And you know about that. That's what gets her done.
So extremely value added. And, we can talk about it, work with our production company and see what's the right way forward. I will tell you, when it comes to things like producing videos, I kind of get out of the way. Because I'll talk all day long. I'll deliver speeches to the cows come home.
Exactly.
That's my swing zone.
Yeah.
Being on camera, I don't think is.
I know.
So when the producers come to our team that did that and said, the amount of info that's left on the cutting room floor is kind of dismaying. But if we're going to make this something reasonably short so it's impactful.
Well, and you want it to
right.
grab. I understand.
So, but with that, I think it's a value-added comment. Let us research it and look at it and see what we can do.
Yeah. It was just a comment.
I would like the board to be part of that team. There were several things that I'd like to see too. Is there a goal to make it short?
If I could, Dr. Smith. Sorry, I'm on mine. This is Nicole. We did ask the company to include Dan, and because the 12-minute video was already outside of the scope of what we asked them for, it was going to incur at least another $50,000 to make those changes.
Well, that's a board decision.
Yeah.
Yeah, I got complaints. And I'm a long time, was born here.
And sometimes keeping the shorter video was because this is a video they show at conferences. So when we sponsor something, or if we're a sponsor at one of the conferences, this is the video, we're allotted so much time.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not necessarily just a video for one of our hallway or for here, or just for our Facebook. It could be for a conference and we're only allotted a certain amount of time. And so it's more for our marketing for going outside of the agency sometimes.
Yeah, I'm not gonna buy time is the key component. We can always make it short, but it's important to get a complete. And it doesn't have to be, it probably wouldn't add 15, 20 seconds to it.
Yeah.
Well, let staff look into that, work with our production company and see what we can do.
Just a picture that says, he had the dream and was here for 30 years, and then he still went.
There's a lot of abandoned airports, if you will. We just didn't jump into this. It had to start grassroots. That should have been captured somehow.
That's valid.
Hey, this is a kid that played on the tetrahedron and rode his bicycle. And
I can tell you so much about this.
You and Harold. Oh, I know. It's wonderful.
All right, moving on. Item 7, we will move into closed session. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you for letting me ramble.
No worries.